Would you play co-op Skyrim or co-op Fable? That's kind of the question being asked by a newly announced indie co-op RPG called Wyldheart. And goddamn, it looks really damn good. It tickles my fancy in just the way that my fancy likes to be tickled. And it just might fill a gaping hole left by finally finishing Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode co-op. It's 2026 and I cannot wait to delve into dungeons, disarm traps, slay undead with friends, all with a character that I created all of my own, a moss-covered hobbit-like character that used to shovel other people's poop for a living. I promise it's not as weird as it sounds. There are many great co-op games out there, there are many great RPGs out there, but there aren't that many great co-op RPGs. At least if you exclude a lot of the survival genre. Games that can channel the feeling of sitting at a table with your friends and getting into all kinds of crazy shenanigans as you delve into dungeons and make poor life choices. Search up any top 10 lists of them and you find the same games over and over again. But Wyldheart is a game that just got announced and might just be smashing onto the scene and caught my attention and made me sad that I went to PAX East last year and not this year. At least I hope it will. And I'm not alone because this game, just announced, already has 100,000 wish lists on Steam in just 10 days. And it's all being made by a new no-name indie studio of about 12 industry veterans called Wayfinder Studios. Wyldheart is an upcoming co-op action RPG in development from said brand new indie studio with a pretty solid pedigree, and it has a pretty nice pitch. Play with your friends on your schedule, starting as a good-for-nothing peasant. Okay, that's not quite the pitch, but it's pretty close. It is an RPG built around the idea of being able to jump in and out of bite-sized mysteries and ruins and dungeon crawls with or without your friends, with 1 to 4 player adventures where you are distinctly not the chosen one. You'll start by creating a character from 3 distinct ancestries, the Grimhorn, Freehulk, or a Mossling. Maybe 4 if, well, you'll see here at the end. You'll be able to fully customize your appearance and background from exiled noble to gong farmer. Yes, a poop farmer, that's what I was referring to at the beginning. It made me chuckle because I'm juvenile inside. That gets a bit to the mood of this RPG. The way it's been described is a bit of gallows humor. It's not light and fuzzy with sweet butterflies everywhere, but it's not going to send you into a swirling depression like Fear and Hunger or Darkest Dungeon. In Polygon's hands-on, they described it as co-op Fable, which that alone, that's really all I need to hear. Co-op Fable, I'm down. I'm gonna try it. I'll play it. Just sign me up. What do I need to sign? Like, how much blood do I need to give? I'm there. Let's do it right now. One of the examples they give for this is that at one point during their playthrough, they had to fill up a skull cup with acid, something they had to go and deliver. But you could actually technically drink it too, even though you really shouldn't. It's an action combat RPG where you can freely swap your weapons, parry, and dodge. Polygon's hands-on described that combat as a bit like Fable's combat or Kingdom of Amalur's combat, which if you haven't played Kingdom of Amalur, just a quick note here, that game is actually pretty underrated, especially with their Re-Reckoning release. It kind of got swept under the rug a bit because of all the drama that surrounded with it trying to launch an MMO, and it kind of how like their CEO, the baseball player, was kind of a piece of shit that was kind of defrauding an entire state from taxes. It was a mess. But the actual game itself that eventually got sold and moved on to another company and everything like that, the game itself was actually really good, and it's written by one of my favorite authors, R.A. Salvatore. So definitely worth going and checking out if you want to play that game. Just a little nod in there. You'll be using magic, ranged weapons, big ol' whopper two-handed weapons, which I freaking love, and even sword and board. There's a leveling system with what looks to be a pretty damn extensive skill tree that includes weapon trees, magic trees, survival, and dungeoneering trees. It even has a lot of bread.
Baker, 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 baker! It feels like cozy fantasy.
Oh, sure.
It feels like, oh, there's going to be a warm fire and a log cabin and
Loaves of bread wafting
loaves
on the
of
windowsill.
bread.
I believe we are delivering on that promise.
It's a bread-heavy game? Great. I'm
Right,
here.
I'm here
Yeah,
for
we
it.
represent Big Bread. You didn't know this, but we do have a secret agenda. It's just to get bread in video games in 2026.
It really looks like it has a lot of depth and a lot of flexibility in how you're going to be building out your characters, especially building together to complement your team. Something that's really going to be important because a lot of the way that they have described the combat is kind of working together to actually overcome challenges, difficult challenges. Like some of the bosses that they described in Polygon's Hand On sounded pretty damn tough and kind of difficult, like just difficult enough to really make you want to communicate and work with your team. There are multiple campaigns to play that each weave their way into the larger story. Each campaign is designed with about 10 hours of story and about 15 hours of optional content. The 1.0 version of the game will have 4 of these campaigns, so not exactly a small game. But they've made this in a way to appeal to the most difficult part of co-op games, scheduling. You can drop in and out of campaigns without feeling a need to grind to catch up because experience is shared among your group. Difficulty scales as well based on how many people are in the party, so if someone needs to go and you have 3 people to go on, you can keep going. Though of course if you're like me, you probably just want to wait and hang out with everyone. However, they also have a really cool thing here because while it's 1 to 4 players, that's not the limit of the world there. It's actually a larger limit of up to 20 players that you'll be able to have like swapping in and out. So while it's 4 players, maybe you have other friends that want to come in and join. Well, one person can drop and someone else can join in. They've also found a pretty interesting way to deal with death in this game because you will die. Each time you get knocked out in the game by whatever means, getting your butt kicked by an ooze or falling into a nasty trap that your friends totally didn't warn you about, you lose a heart of hope. If you lose all of those hearts, well, you die. If not everyone in your party met the cold, rigid embrace of death, well, they can use a revive scroll to bring you back, or you can roll a new character D&D style at the same level as your party and carry on as that new personality you always wanted to be. They even mentioned going on a side quest to go resurrect your own character. Now, I don't know how that works out in practice yet, but it's something that I have really high hopes for how they could make that work out in practice. Having characters that become NPCs would be really freaking cool, but who knows exactly how that's gonna work out. Now, of course, Wyldheart isn't the first game to be like this. This isn't a brand new concept of a game. The Dungeon Crawler co-op isn't brand new. I think it's the depth and breadth of this game that is kind of catching my attention. If you just look at some of this B-roll, it just looks huge. It looks like an actually big game. It just looks wide open compared to some of the other games where it just kind of feels like you're going through a level. It doesn't quite feel that way with Wyldheart when you're looking at some of this footage. Hell, there's another co-op dungeon crawler that I really liked called Dungeons and Pandaria that was actually pretty solid, but it's not nearly this deep. And I think one of the clearest examples might be the town. Dungeons and Pandaria is largely a few individual icons you click on in the town, and that enters virtual shops. In Wyldheart, the town of Elderlight is your home base, and from what we've seen, this looks like a living, breathing town full of rumors, hints, taverns, even ruins to jump all over. And of course, hot tubs, because you have to have hot tubs.
Yes, for sure. So that is, all of our campaigns will have at least one of these sort of main hubs. This is the main hub of the first campaign called Elderlight. It consists of many NPCs that all have their own schedules. They react to time of day, they react to bad weather. We also have a weather system in our game that impacts how easy it is to find campsites and travel around in the world, and NPCs react to that. As well. It's the place to go in order to regain your stats after being on the road for long. It is also the place where you visit merchants, get new gear, sell off all the stuff that you found in the dungeon, and of course discover rumors from books and notes, or maybe sometimes listening to a song or overhearing a conversation by someone.
Yeah, I think the quest system is really interesting because you guys use a journal instead of like a quest log, and it kind of gives you a little bit of writing that kind of summarizes information you've learned, but you still have to work it out yourself to figure out, where to go and what to do.
Yeah, we don't really work with quest markers. You can do any of the quests almost in any order, and so it can be, it should be fairly easy to find the rumors, but then it can be, sometimes you have to talk to multiple NPCs to learn more about a particular rumor, maybe talk to like the forest tracker in order to find your way to the dungeon, whereas if you talk to maybe the historian, you might get some ideas on the vulnerabilities of the enemies there, for example. So there's a bit of discovery that goes on for many of the larger adventures, and sometimes some of the side quests are quite simplistic, and so you don't have to do as much digging. But yeah, that's our approach. We like investigative sort of quest discovery. It shouldn't be too hard, hopefully, but some of them can be quite hard to figure out.
Nice. And Fia, how many residents are living in this town?
Wyldheart has about 50 residents, plus rats.
But that's just what they're trying to do now. And yes, you can just go right now over to Steam or Epic and wishlist them, and that will help them immensely because that gets them on everyone's radar. It lets people know that this game is around, and wishlists in general are just very helpful for indie devs because they're a form of marketing, right? But there's actually another thing going on that has a lot of stretch goals that show some of the actual bigger potential for Wyldheart that has me even more excited, not just for what this game could be, but also what this team making this game is looking at as their potential for this game, what their aspirations are if they got the funding for this game. And I should mention right off here, before I start talking about their Kickstarter and some of the stuff that they've done, I have actually backed the game. That's not necessarily just because I have like a super strong belief in this game, which I do, but I also back a lot of indie RPGs on Kickstarter because I want to see them succeed. So I really just want to talk about some of the stretch goals that they have because it shows their aspirations. The most reachable of those goals is a new ancestry called the Veilborn, which actually includes voting on how they'll look. Other stretch goals include recruitable animals, which would be cool as hell, another ancestry, the Beastkin, NPC voice acting, player housing, factions and reputations, roaming world bosses, companion relationships and romances, and finally, a full DM mode, which would be absolutely freaking incredible. Now, a lot of those stretch goals are pretty far off, especially the romance and the full DM mode and the housing. I don't foresee them hitting those goals. I just think that they're pretty high up there, but if they do, amazing. But I wanted to kind of include them in here because it shows that this small team, this team that's making this game, has bigger aspirations for this game, and it shows what they would want to put in if they could. It shows that if they had the ability to, they would put in a full DM mode, they would put in romances, they would put in factions, which I think is really cool. I think it shows what they would do if they had the funding. And fucking hell, I think all of that's awesome in this game. This is the kind of game that I hope is going to finally fill a void that has been in me since finishing an honor mode run with my friends, a co-op honor mode run of Baldur's Gate 3. I spent over 2 years playing that honor mode run with those friends, largely due to scheduling conflicts, but we spent over 2 years playing that, and I miss it so much because there is something special about playing a really good RPG with friends. I love playing RPGs solo. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do, and I also love playing co-op games. I love games like Peak. It is a fantastic game. But there's something so special about combining those like this. The promise of uncovering these stories, these rumors, these promises of fast and slow moments with exhilarating combat, tactical boss fights that require communication and working together, and then creeping through dungeons, watching out for traps, watching my friends fall in them, laughing at them, working through town, figuring out rumors, working out puzzles together. My friends figuring out puzzles and me sitting back and not figuring them out. I want that experience of sitting around a virtual tabletop with my friends in a curated way, and I really just can't wait to get my hands on this game and get to see what they have to offer. I can't wait to laugh at their misfortunes and celebrate our accomplishments together. Wyldheart will be releasing on PC and early access on Steam and Epic in late 2026. After that, when they release into 1.0, they hope to release on consoles, but they don't have anything firm on that yet. 1.0 is planned for sometime in 2027. My name is Redbeard Flynn. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like on this video. I am going to leave you with some of the music from the game that they had on their website because it's really, really damn good. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon.
Everything is handcrafted. We use some procedural tools for placing trees and stuff, but there's no AI involved in this. So this is just us sort of stepping away from the massive budgets of pace of AAA and doing something that feels a lot more personal and grounded. And so just wanted to call that out and thank all of you for showing up and checking it out alongside us.